Morning, y'all. Michelle G here, up in the corner. Hi. Bendy Stitchy. My pronouns are she, her, and today is Sunday. It's the 19th of April, and we are I think just less than a week past the published date of Iris's book, Fantasy Cross Stitch. So Iris is the designer of NeedleLot Designs. This book is amazing. We're going to flip through it. This book is published by Page Street Publishing. They actually reached out to me a few months ago and said, hey, NeedleLot Designs is publishing a cross stitch book. Would you like to preview it? And I said, oh my God, yes, please. So they sent me a copy of Iris's book, and y'all, it's so good. It's available now. I didn't want to film my flip through until the book was available, so I'll link it down below. Because I didn't want to wet your whistle and then have it not be available and then you forget about it and then, right? So anyway, this video is going to be an Iris Love Fest. I will show you all of the designs in the book, which there are many, many, so that you can decide how soon you want to purchase it, basically. So this is, the subtitle is Create Legendary Beasts, Mythical Spirits, and Fairy Tale Realms to Adorn Your Castle Halls. There are 25 patterns in here, it says right there. And first of all, the cover. It's like a really nice matte cover. I do judge a book by its cover, and I love the feel of these covers. So I haven't creased mine yet, and Rose is super anti-creasing the spine, but it does have a good crease. So I will try to, it shouldn't be too hard to avoid showing you the patterns because this book is really nicely laid out. There's no pages that have the cover of the photo of the stitching and the pattern. So it's also thank you, Iris, for making it flippable, throughable very easily. So the 25 patterns are divided into 5 categories, and you get 5 patterns in each category: Legends and Lore, A Touch of Magic, Forest Dwellers, Faded Beasts, and Veil of Shadows. If you watched my Flosstube last week, I showed you 3 or 4 that I really, really want to stitch ASAP. It has a little introduction, and there's Iris with her unicorn. A section about materials and tools. One thing I love about this book is, first of all, every pattern is designed in DMC, and second of all, every pattern is designed on a non-overdyed, non-modeled fabric. So all very accessible. And then I think one of my favorite things about the patterns is talks about frames and hoops, talks about notions, talks about techniques, how to read a pattern, how to secure your thread, all the good. Plus you're getting little sneak peeks of the how to finish, how to wash. There's a pinning and lacing tutorial, how to make your bookmarks, and then we get into the projects. So I forgot what I was saying before. Oh, all of the patterns in this book are done on solid, unmodeled fabric from Witchelt and Zweigart. And one thing that really captured my imagination during this is how different the mood of many of these patterns can be on some really exciting, wild and crazy modeled fabric, right? And you'll see what I mean as we get into them. So the first section is Legends and Lore. And it has the floss list, so this is Dragon of the Old World. This was one of the cover models. Speaking of models, there's a big section in the back devoted to all the model stitchers, and I love that. This is, Dragon of the Old World. It's 102 wide by 131 high. Most of the patterns in this book are not bite-sized, but very accessible amounts of stitching. Although, I will say, they all have quite a few colors, because how else are you going to get these beautiful gradients? And it's a lot of not full coverage stitching over the whole piece, but that's all covered in, right? There's not a lot of negative space inside the main characters of these designs. But yeah, Dragon of the Old World, 102 by 131. This is stitched on a Zweigart Murano even weave, lavender / antique violet. So I love Iris's designs. Her fabric choices also are really, really well done. So Dragon of the Old World, and then it's a 2-page pattern. So I'll skip those pages. This is a bookmark. It's called Gothic Lancet Window. It doesn't have to be a bookmark, but this is a perfect bookmark. It's 45 stitches wide and 104 stitches high. So Iris gives you the dimensions on 14, 16, and 18. So I would probably stitch this on 16 or 18. It'd be 2 3/4 wide by 6.5 tall at the biggest on 16 count. And this is done on plastic canvas. So, and then this is a good tip. Choose a smaller tapestry needle for this project, as plastic Aida can be a bit resistant to push through with larger needles. Smart. It's not going to expand like your regular fabric. Rose is super into reading right now, so and she's loving she just finished reading, or she's in the middle of the Fearless series, and so she's very into I think this would go well with the book she's reading. Although right now we just got her the last book that was published on the Hunger Games. Anyway, I digress. Gothic Lancet Window. Again, it's a 2-page pattern. All the patterns in here are color patterns. This is cute. Castle Vista with a Lone Rider. And again, so this is one that I'm talking about. This is done on Vintage Blue Whisper, Zweigart Belfast, which is a printed fabric. So it's only anything that says vintage blah, blah, blah from Zweigart, like Vintage Country Mocha, Vintage Atlantic, Vintage Blue Whisper, printed. But this looks so sweet and idyllic, right? But you put this on a dark stormy fabric, change that sun into a moon, and it takes on a whole different vibe. So this is 111 stitches wide by 105 high. It is meant to be put into a circular frame, which is super cool. And then again, she gives you the counts on 14, 16, and 18. It leans towards full coverage, she says, which means it's larger and requires a good eye for neat stitches. And this one, again, is a 2-page color pattern, like everything else. This one I love. Portal to Another Realm. And I'll tell you why. So, I love this fabric choice. This is Mediterranean Sea Aida. I think I've stitched things on this in the past. It's a beautiful neutral Aida. I like the pink. It's giving Sailor Moon with the pink and the moon, right? It's giving headed to Princess Serenity's land. If you take out the pinks and sub in a different color family, which is not as easy as I'm making it sound, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 shades of pink in that door, right? If you take out the pinks and sub in a different color family, if you do grays or deep blues, or I would do maybe deep blues, and you put it on a different color fabric, it's going to give a different vibe, right? You can take the browns and turn them into grays. Right now, this is stitched in the 435, 436, 738, 739 for the bricks. If you turn those bricks gray and the door dark blue, then you're going into a different realm, right? But I love this. It's 80 by 122, and it says, this pattern was stitched on a dark muted turquoise to give it a bit of a night sky mood. If you wanted to crank it up a notch, navy would also be a great choice. Or you can go in the opposite direction and give it a soft pink background for a bit of romance. So see, even Iris knows the vibe of the pattern will change with the vibe of the fabric. And we love that. Again, it's a 2-page color pattern. So I'm skipping ahead. Glorious Griffin. He, again, is a cover model. This is 122 by 139, so totally manageable. I love how it's finished into a shape. This is stitched on Zweigart Belfast linen in Ash Rose. And I think that's the order number there. Added small touches of purple to the fur because brown and purple go together like peanut butter and purple jelly. Love that. And again, on pink, he looks regal and majestic and like a benevolent ruler. You put this on some dark, stormy sky, I think he could look angry and like a power griffin. I don't know. This is a good one. This one is a 4-page color pattern. So the pattern stretches across 2 full pages because it's bigger. And I like that she made that choice. This one, Ancient Tales. This one's so cute. Rose would love this one. I'll probably stitch this for Rose. It's 109 by 102. Again, though, lots of negative space, right? Knowing that the 109 goes all the way from there to there and the 102 from there to there. That's your big stitching area here. And that's not that much. But I also think that looks like a roll of Smarties, and Rose always has candy or a snack with her when she's stitching or when she's reading. Love this frame that it's in. Honestly, where do I find that frame? See, this piece was stitched on a soft blue fabric, but it would also look amazing on something that matches the mysterious atmosphere of the scene. Iris knows. Vintage blue whisper again. Zweigart Belfast linen. Yeah. Rose's first foray into reading was, I forgot. Wings of Fire. It was Wings of Fire, so she would like this. All right, and again, it's a 2-page color pattern. All right, next section, A Touch of Magic. So this is the section that I'm like, immediately, yes. There's one in here that I have to stitch immediately. This one makes me think of my friend Mandy. Although the cat it's a little, like, she's giving purples because the cat is stitched like in those DMC 791 to 794, but that's a black cat, right? Like, I think we can all agree that that's a black cat. They just needed the darker 310 for the eyes and stuff. But I love, like, note the cat's rainbow eyes. I don't know what it is about this citrus fruit here, but I was like, yes. But I think my friend Mandy would stitch this. She loves a black cat, even though it's not black. And this is stitched on Belfast linen in light natural / oatmeal, which, again, totally perfect for the project. But if you put it on, you know, like a fiery color or something like that, all the oranges would pop. This does have some backstitch in it for the whiskers, but that's the first backstitch I've seen. I love that little mushroom. But yeah, this was the one that made me think of Mandy. And again, it's a 2-page color pattern. This one's so cute. Rabbit Druid. I'm drifting a little to the left. This one is 132 by 114, and it's stitched on Zweigart even weave in powder pink splash. You can't really pick it up. I just noticed it, but it has those little, oh, maybe you can see it a little bit. Powder pink splash has the little dots on it, like the little bits of white splatter paint. Again, all DMC. The model was stitched on splash fabric, which comes with tiny printed dots scattered across it. If you're brave enough to surrender a bit of control and willing to risk the occasional rogue dot, this one's for you. I too like living on the edge. For a moodier alternative to pastel pink, try stitching this pattern on medium blue instead. I just think this druid's so cute, right? And then the other thing that I'm digging about this pattern is if you stitch ATCs or if you like to stitch little gift tags or anything like that, these little guys here, these charms on the side, perfect for like, I don't know, a witchy ATC or a summer picnic ATC or an autumn ATC with that or a Halloween one, right? Like, this gives you a lot of little motifs that you can pull out and put on different projects. And I love that. And this one is also a 4-page color pattern. I feel like anything that goes over the 110 or so wide, Iris puts 4 pages to the pattern. This is the one that I was like, I must stitch it immediately. This is called Mystical Magpies, 2 for Joy. It's based on the nursery rhyme. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told. This project lends itself well to a lumbar pillow, but it would also look great on your wall. Don't feel limited. I would never lean on this. Can you imagine spending this is 194 by 118, so this is the biggest pattern yet that we've seen. Can you imagine spending all this time stitching this and then putting it on a pillow and letting people touch it? Nobody touches my cross-stitch pillows, but I love, love, love this. And I think part of the reason I love it is because it's on the Zweigart navy blue linen, 32 count. I mean, so this is a good size pillow. On 32 count, it's 12¼ inches wide by 7½ inches tall. That's a decent size cross stitch, but I just like, come on, look at it. I love these. And then you could, just like cut it here, right? And you could half it. You'd have to do something about these words, 2, 4. You could probably bring these down a little bit. And and get creative. But like really this composition here without the words, or this composition here, maybe it'd have to be, yeah, like this. You could do those separately. You could even like cut this in half and do them separately, but stitch them both. That would be fun too. This one is definitely over 4 pages. I also love this one. I think this might be my favorite section. So this is Eye of Newt, based on the Double Double Toil and Trouble from Shakespeare. I love that he's like a fire salamander, this little guy. I also think it's hilarious. I didn't immediately notice it, but I think it's absolutely hilarious that he's got an eye patch on. And he's standing on the Eye of Newt. Like, that's adorable. This is antique ivory, Zweigart linen. And I love this flat fold finish is clean, clean, clean. I love this finish. And he's only 54 by 108, so he's itty bitty. So this is in my top 3. The magpies and then this little guy. And then you'll see my third of the top 3 later. But he's only on 2 pages. He's a 2-page color pattern because he's small, 54 by 108. That's like snack size. Okay. This one, Enchanted Spotted Lynx. I think this is one of Iris's boldest fabric choices. I love it. It says, time to plunder your fabric stash because this pattern likes to be stitched on red. Prefer something different? Try a muted, dark blue, teal, or green. I could see it on like a teal. That would be fun. It's so good on the red though. It's so good on the red. What's opposite of yellow on the color wheel? Is it purple? I guess if you love purple. It's 83 by 124. I love the floof at the end of the tail and these little curly things. This is just I like the lengths and the shading and the gradient that she got in the fur, like especially in this area. So good. This is also like the least amount of colors, I think, of most any pattern in the book. So that's interesting. 83 by 124. It's a 2-page color pattern. Next up is Forest Dwellers. I love this section too. This one right here is like my 4th that I want to do. Enchanting Unicorn. We all love this unicorn. I'm captivated. This unicorn reminds me of that. There's so many designers that have designed that unicorn that's sitting underneath the tree, inside the fence. This is giving that, but just without the whole scene. This is like zoomed in on the unicorn. This is on that navy blue Zweigart linen, the same as the magpies. But it's such a different vibe, right? Same fabric, different vibe. Let me go back to the magpies because I won't be able to stop. There's the magpies and the unicorn. Same fabric. I guess not too different of a vibe. Anyway, if you change this unicorn, my first thought when I saw this was if I changed the horn and hoofs to silver and the unicorn to pink, this would totally be giving The Last Unicorn, which as a child of the 80s is one of my favorite movies from back then. I'm not saying that you should change things in other people's patterns, but you should change things when you stitch my patterns if you want. But how that would totally give, right? Last Unicorn. I'd have to go back and watch again because I think maybe her mane was silver. Maybe you wouldn't change her to pink. Anyway, this is 150 wide, which is on the large side for this book, but only 54 tall. So it's a long, thin. Like if you stitch it on 40 count or on 14 count, it's 10 3/4 wide, but only 3 3/4 tall. And if you stitch it on 18 count, 8 1/4 wide and only 3 tall. That's almost, if you put this on 20 count, Ada, or 40 count, it would be 7.5 inches long and only 2.5 inches tall. And that's bookmark territory. Like how cool of a bookmark would that be? She's on 2 pages. She's a 2-page color pattern. This one, Guardian of the Forest, is my number 4. It was my number 3, and then a pattern later in the book bumped it. But no notes on this, right? Like, it's on Witchelt Touch of Blue linen. It's 149 wide by 140 tall. It should absolutely be in a circular frame just like this. It's absolutely beautiful. it does say this sampler requires strong counting abilities and a lot of dedication. However, if you've got both, it's well worth the effort. And if you're anything like me, you know that a fancy round frame is practically part of the pattern. Iris agreed. Anything like this, a fancy round frame, chef's kiss. So good. So very good. I just love like the little detail of the third eye. I almost didn't notice that in this picture. I saw it better in the zoomed in picture here. But that third eye and the little blossoms on top and the fairy lights. Yeah, love it. This is a 4-page color pattern. Covers 4 pages. So this one unseated. Guardian of the Forest was unseated by Winged Toad. He's just so cute. He's got little rosy cheeks. He's just so cute. He's 78 by 82, which makes him totally manageable. Perfect on this Mediterranean Sea Ada, which, again, this is how... So this is Mediterranean Sea, and that is Mediterranean Sea. The reason I love a turquoise as a neutral is because when you put like purples and blues on a turquoise, it tends more blue. And when you put greens on a turquoise, it tends more green. Yes, it might be a little bit of the lighting when she photographed them, but really and truly, turquoises respond a lot, I find. A turquoise fabric really responds to what you put on it. And I really love that. So this little guy, I can't. This is probably realistically my number 1 pattern to stitch out of the book because it's small. And as much as I really want to start the magpies, this little guy's adorbs. He's adorbs. It says, a fun suggestion for this pattern is to get creative with metallics. If you dare, they tend to be finicky. Use metallic threads for the crown and some of the mushroom spots and add a bit of shine. Who knows, with enough sparkles, maybe this frog will turn back into a prince. But you could totally do, like, I'm not using DMC Light Effects ever or DMC Sparkle ever. But I would use Etoile and I would use the Diamant. The DMC Diamant that comes on the spools. And I think that would be super fun. Or like a Threadworks or something. You could do the mushroom spots in like an iridescent. If you did, if you could find a way to sub in iridescent flosses in the mushroom and in the wings, I think that would be so fun for him. Anyway, he's probably my first. I love him. And he's a 2-page color pattern because he's little. This one, Curious Kitsune. I feel like this kitsune is going on a picnic with somebody. This is 124 by 140, which is wild because it feels more square than that, doesn't it? I guess it's higher. Yeah. The first time I looked at this, I was like, oh, that's a cute square pattern. I love the colors. I love reds on blues. Again, all DMC. Iris says this design was created to be stitched on a range of light to medium blue shades. Depending on the blue in your stash, you might be concerned that your fabric matches some of the floss a bit too closely, but I urge you not to worry about this. The way cross stitches lift off the fabric adds a subtle depth that interacts beautifully with the light. I agree. I love a tone on tone. Y'all know I love a tone on tone. And like here, this little leaf and part of the border, I would call this a tone on tone selection. But I feel like the way the kitsune is going to pop and the way that the picnic border and the inside is going to pop, that tone on tone is a nice contrast to everything. And at 124 by 140, we are getting a 4-page color pattern for that. Mother Nature. This is the first one that's feeling really like North America, Turtle Island kind of vibes for me. Everything else was feeling kind of European, which I'm fine with. But I really like this one. 88 by 93. I love, speaking of tone on tone, I love the rain, right? Coming down. I love that the bear is carrying the forest on her back. This is, I said 88 by 93, and this is on Peaceful Purple Witchelt Ada. This is done on 14 count, so it's 6 1/4 by 6 3/4. And again, pretty limited range of colors, but really doing the most in this bear. And I do like how Iris is continually putting, I'll never not think of it now, like when a brown has a purple shadow, it's always going to be a peanut butter and jelly shadow in my mind. But yeah, I really like how she kind of, it's hard to see here. In fact, I don't know if you can see it, but the rain is coming down. You can see the rain, but also the bear is coated. She's lined with that same white, it's DMC Blanc. She's lined with that same Blanc all across the top of her, but not underneath. So she's not lined fully around. So the rain is falling on the bear and dripping down and round. That's really part of Iris's artistry. And again, it's a super peaceful, right? On peaceful purple. But if you put this on a stormy blue-gray or like a navy, the whole vibe is changing, right? The whole vibe. And I love it. Again, 88 by 93, so it's a 2-page color pattern. And we are on to the Fated Beasts section. Not faded, but fated. And the idea behind this is that she said some fantasy characters, especially the ones in mythology and folklore, don't get much say in their fates. They're destined to live, to die, to rise from the ashes, or to wander forever in an undying state, sometimes literally cursed with the night shift. She said, myth and folklore are intertwined with culture, and learning about these stories is like getting a peek into an ancient civilization. For this chapter, I've done my best to honor the legend's roots by staying close to the source material, drawing inspiration from real ancient art, and incorporating authentic symbols. In this section, you'll find creatures from Greek, Norse, and Egyptian mythology, each with mysterious origins, a strong will, and a fate they can't escape. Just how we like it. So first up is Norse ravens, Hugin and Munin. I don't know if I said that right, but there it is. And they have their names. I don't actually know what that says. Oh yeah. Hugin and Munin, maybe? So Hugin and Munin are thought and memory. It says over here. So we learn more. So this piece is 83 by 78. But also check how Iris showed us, like, she didn't move the word at all. She took out the stars here and she made a scissor holder. And it's actually a double scissor holder, which is fun. Hugin and Munin fly each day over the spacious earth. I fear for Hugin that he come not back, and yet anxious I am for Munin. Hugin is thought and Munin is memory. Thought and memory. Same bird, different colors. I like that border. I love it done here. And how she whip stitched the edges. That's nice. 2-page color pattern for that one. Oh, Fiery Phoenix. Love this. This is on Zweigart Vintage Sahara. And it's 110 by 120, so practically square. Now I'm just thinking, because Rose is watching reading the Hunger Games. Everything comes back to my kid, y'all. Could this be a Mockingjay? Like, could I change it enough? But no, I don't want to. I don't want to change it enough. I love this gradient. This is an impressive gradient. So some of this that you might feel, while you're stitching it that the colors are a little close. This is one of those colorways where you just have to stick with it. You just have to trust the process, because when you're in here and you're like, I can't tell the difference, when you zoom out and you see the whole thing, you'll be able to see it. Fabric colors like yellow, orange, or red will turn up the heat even more. But for something striking, try a warm purple or a lilac. That's exactly what I was thinking. This on purple would be gorgeous. Yeah. Anything, right? Love it. 110 by 120, which means I love predictability, right? 110 by 120 equals a 2-page color pattern. We know it. This is Fenrir, the Wolf of Ragnarok. And again, it says Fenrir. I'm guessing because the RIR is close enough. 66 by 112. So again, one of the smaller patterns in the book. And this has a lot of negative space for Iris's designs. This is on Zweigart Evenweave Murano. It's Azure. And yeah, it looks really good. I don't know if I would change it onto anything other than the blue, because I love the blue and the wolf. And then matching, coordinating with the blue. And then this depth of blue really lets your whites pop. But again, you're getting that tone on tone here from, I'm guessing that's 3755. So yeah, I love that. I'm not as drawn to the Norse mythology. I majored in classical studies, so I'm like, where's my Greek mythology stuff? And at 66 by 112, it's a 2-page color pattern. If y'all didn't have an Egyptian mythology phase, Titanic phase, all those phases, when you were a kid, this is Anubis, the jackal of the afterlife. This one does call for some E3852, which is this. Okay, I'm not being critical of Iris in this book, but what I will say is don't stitch with this. This is the worst floss I've ever stitched with, hands down. But what you will love instead of this is DMC Diamant. So this, whatever this is I don't even know the word for it. It's a DMC metallic, which is infamous. She even calls it out. They're stitched here. Hieroglyphs in this pattern are taken directly from ancient Egyptian art featuring Anubis. They're stitched here with DMC metallic thread, which is infamous for being tricky to work with, but undeniably beautiful. Both true. If you're not a fan, you can swap it out for regular DMC 3852 instead. It's on Zweigart Vintage Sahara, and Iris says this works great on Vintage Sahara and on the next fabric we'll see. What I will say is DMC Diamant, I know I keep saying it, on the spool, on 14, 16, or 18 count, will give you incredible amounts of sparkle and also be much easier to work with. There's also, my next favorite metallic after Diamant is Threadworks. Threadworks has a metallic that they partnered with Kreinik. So Threadworks takes Kreinik and overdyes it. And hot tip, whatever Threadworks does to overdye their Kreinik makes it a lot easier to work with than the Kreinik itself. So I know Threadworks has a beautiful, beautiful sparkly gold metallic that would be great in this pattern. Ooh, he's weighing a heart. I just noticed that. So this is 65 by 167, which is big enough. Nope. Which is still small enough to fit on 2 color pages. Oh, yes. This pattern would also work really well on this. I'll bet you there's a lot of similar colors. If you compare this list here with this list over here, probably very similar. I love this. So this is Zweigart Vintage Sahara. And this is Zweigart Sahara. Don't get it twisted. Vintage Sahara. This is a great fabric. I love this kind of like tobacco color fabric. This is Apep, the Serpent of Chaos. It's 65 by 83. So again, he's just a small little guy, like my toad. And again, it's called for with this infamously terrible floss. So you have my substitution. So you have my substitution suggestions. Please don't use this and regret it. I hate it so much. I just wish DMC would stop making that. Anyway, 65 by 83. Love this on the Sahara. Very tone on tone, right? With all of these sandy colors. Apep, the Chaos Serpent, was the sworn enemy of Ma'at, the goddess of truth, balance, justice, and all things orderly. Every night, Apep tried to stop the sun from rising by attacking Ra's solar boat. Of course, this made him deeply unpopular. I love that. And then I love a pom-pom trim. So I don't know what color these pom-poms are. These don't look like a Lady Dot pom-pom, but Lady Dot has a blue pom-pom that would be perfect for this pattern. I just used it in my Under the Sea, Beneath the Waves collab, but love this. I love a flat fold. I gotta start making more flat folds. And again, 65 by 83, so 2-page color pattern. Veil of Shadows. I don't know how this section didn't overtop the other section as my favorite, but like, let's just start here. Look at that little snail. Like, you know already this is going to be a good pattern. So it leads with Under the Moon, in the darkest part of night, strange things happen. Okay, I'm in. I'm done. You know me. First up, the Spirit of Death. This is 87 by 122. Like Mother Nature, Death is an eternal, untouchable force. He isn't truly evil or scary, he just is. I chose to depict death as a ram rather than the usual crow or black dog because goats and rams were often used as sacrificial animals on early ancient altars. I've surrounded death with symbols drawn from Greek mythology. That's so fun. See, I love to know the thought process behind, like, why is it a goat? Right? I know it's a ram. It's a boy goat. But, like, why is it a goat? Now I understand why it's a goat. Obviously, I never read that before. I'm not here for the articles, okay? I'm here for the stitching. And this is the Zweigart Murano Even Weave Lavender / Antique Violet that we saw way back. Look at this. Same fabric, probably different lighting. But different vibes, right? Like happy vibes here, a little bit ominous vibes here. The design's doing the work. The fabric is just filling in what it needs to fill in. So, loving this. 87 by 122. And it's a 2-page color pattern. This is the smallest chart in the book. This is called Scrying Mirror. And it uses DMC Etoile for the surface of the mirror, which is super interesting. So this is also on that, this is Zweigart Belfast in Blue Spruce, which is a great neutral. I think that I would be like super extra and try to find a frame that has the curly cues like this to, let me see. Like a frame like this, but not white, obviously. But a frame with this vibe for this, extra. I do envy Iris's restraint here in putting it in a plain oval frame. Love that. It's a good look. I would just go a little more extra. And I love the idea. So the outside of the frame is all regular DMC. And then the inside is Etoile, 310 and 823 Etoile. And actually, this might be the shortest list. I said that once before, but I think this one's a little shorter. And even though it's 55 by 71, it still gets 2 pages of a color chart. So nice and big squares. I do love this. Woodland Fairy Ring. And this is on Zweigart Petroleum Green. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but I love this as a neutral. Also, the DMC 703 on Petroleum Green right here, it looks absolutely toxic, doesn't it? It just looks like these mushrooms are actually glowing. Like, I don't know how Iris does it, but these look glowing. Okay, it's 109 by 100. Maybe this is my 5th stitch out of this book. I do love this. I feel like I would want to do it justice with a fabric with this vibe, though. And I also really like, because my instinct is to put everything on overdyed and modeled fabric, I also really like Iris's restraint in putting everything on this plain fabrics because it allows the doodads to really like do their job, right? Where if this fabric was doing a lot of the work, then these doodads I think would be less impactful. I just love the little sprout growing out of the back of the... So many good details. It was made to be stitched on darker fabrics. The spiral on the ground also lends itself well to being stitched in various colors. Something slightly lighter or darker than your fabric color will work particularly well. Don't be scared to get creative. I really love this. Woodland Fairy Ring. And I love that she was like, go for it. So 109 by 100, that's two pages of color pattern. But again, this is a piece where you could pluck out this skull and snail and put it on an ATC. Or this mushroom could be the main character of, you could actually stitch this mushroom on some tiny count fabric. Let me see. So that mushroom is 10, 20, 30. It's like 32 by 10, 27. It's like 32 by 30, this mushroom. So if you put that mushroom on a 20 count Aida or a 40 count linen, it would be like 1.5 inches. It would be only slightly larger than that, right? Yeah. If you put this on a 20 or 40 count, it would be just a little bit bigger than that, and you can make that into a necklace. How fun would that be? This, now that I'm like on this, like, let's make jewelry, this guy here would make a cool earring. I don't know. 2 pages, color pattern. Whoops, turning the page. Oh, another bookmark. This one's so good. Death's Head Hawk Moth. 118 by 40. This is also giving quilt to me. I keep moving the book up. Death's Head Hawk Moth. This pattern was designed to be stitched as a bookmark, perfect for late night reading by candle or lantern light, where the moth will feel right at home. I finished mine with an orange felt backing and a blanket stitch along the edges. Like the other bookmark in this book, it's beginner friendly and stitches up quickly. I really do. Blanket stitch is super easy. Very easy to learn. There's probably a tutorial in this book. And I don't know, it just gives... At first I looked at the colors and I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, well, it's very quilty and comforting and warm and I like it. I also like... when I look at a death's head moth, I always look at the skull. But like, look at how cute he is. He just wants to love you. Like he's reaching out for a hug. And I love a broken border. She was like, oh, it's too close to the border up there. Let me just break that border up. I love a broken border. I love this moth. And this is on Witchelt Perman Ada in Midnight Gray. But really, the warmth of all these colors on the Midnight Gray is almost making this fabric look like a cocoa color. I guess it's looking very gray in the camera. It's looking more cocoa to my eyeballs. But again, you can change the vibes of this. If you took any one of these colors inside the moth and did a fabric that was like matching or close to that color, it would be great. I think this would work really beautifully on almost any fabric that we've already seen in the book. And it's 118 by 40, and so it's 2 pages of color patterns. And that's it. We've got the acknowledgments. This is what I really love. Shout out to all the test stitchers. I love a designer that loves on their model stitchers. And then there's an index. There's a little bit about Iris. She's from the Netherlands. And there's an index, so if you're looking for anything particular. Oh, this is so cool. I didn't see this before. Stitch totals for projects. Over 2,000, over 3,000, over 4,000, over 5,000, over 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, over 12. Of course, the one I like the best is the biggest freaking pattern in the book. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? I like big stitches. But that's really nice. So there's a whole section in here. I've never seen that in a cross-stitch book before. I've never looked for it, but this is brilliant. Stitch totals for projects, and then kind of dividing them up by down here, and then up here, dividing them up by how big of a project do you want to stitch. Oh, I love that. So, yeah, Fantasy Cross-Stitch. It is from Page Street Publishing. I'll put a link down below. It's not an affiliate link. I did get the book for free, but it's not an affiliate link. It's just a link to buy the book. And let me know what you're stitching. And obviously, I'm going to stitch the toad first. So that's it for my flip through. Thank you for watching. Go give Iris some love on the book. And she also has a Ko-Fi. Or Ko-Fi. I don't know how you say it. K-O-F-I. I say Ko-Fi. She also has a Ko-Fi with some really good patterns on there, and you can become a member of that. That is a shameless plug for Iris. One of my Patreons who's watching this live just mentioned that they joined her Ko-Fi last month. Really great patterns on there. And yeah, just continually puts out good stuff. I love her style. She definitely has a vibe. That's it. That's the flip through. I'll check you guys later. Thank you for hanging out, and I'll be back sometime with another Flosstube.